That's right, guys. Sleep deprivation can make you gain fat. It really can. It's an actual big thing, but not in the way you think. Once you understand how it works, then I'll teach you how to prevent it. So make sure you watch this episode until the very end. I will try to keep it shorter this time than my usual episodes of half an hour so you can fit it in your schedule and get the value that you need. I'll try to keep it to 15 to 20 minutes. If it goes over, I apologize from now. So welcome to the Limitless Body and Mind podcast. This is episode 13 and I'm very happy that you're my guest here again. If you're new, please subscribe. You can subscribe on any major podcast platform and also on YouTube. This podcast releases weekly episodes about weight loss. Anything weight loss, you'll find it here. And I will give you only science-backed, practical and tactical tips that you can apply right away into your life to help you on your weight loss and body transformation journey. Also, if you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe because I will be releasing additional fitness content. Anything muscle building, anything fitness, it's gonna be on there. My name is Peter, I'm a fitness coach. I've been doing this for 6 years. This changed my life. The knowledge that I'm sharing with you is priceless. So enjoy listening, and if you have any questions anytime, post them in the comments below and I'll make sure to answer them. So studies show that sleep deprivation can reduce fat loss during a caloric deficit diet with up to 55%. That is a massive, massive number. Fat loss is very hard on its own. And when you have such an obstacle that is just reducing the effectiveness of 55%, that's a big deal. But it's not as simple as you might think. It's not like you're sleep deprived and tomorrow you wake up with a little bit more fat or you just didn't lose that much fat. It's much more complicated than that. And that's why most people don't understand this topic very well, and I'll try to break it down properly for you. To understand why sleep deprivation makes us gain fat, and how to prevent it, we need to track the chain of reactions, the events that happen after we're sleep deprived, so we can prevent them and optimize our sleep so it doesn't happen again. So we're going to track what are the hormonal effects after sleep deprivation, the effects on our cognitive function and our emotional well-being, the effects on physical performance, and the effects on our metabolic rate. Once we have this, I'll give you the practical solutions that I promised so you can optimize your sleep and maximize your chances to burn fat. Let's start with the hormonal impact. There are two major hormones that get totally mixed up when we're sleep deprived. They're leptin and ghrelin. Leptin is the hormone that makes us feel satiated and full when we eat. So practically when you eat, something has to tell your body that you're already full, and if it doesn't, then you might continue eating. The other one is ghrelin. The ghrelin is the hormone that actually signals hunger, kind of the opposite. We usually have a pretty good balance of these hormones, which makes normal living possible. But when we're sleep deprived, the balance actually shifts kind of to the opposite way. The leptin drops, which makes us feel hungrier most of the time, even after we finish our meal, and the ghrelin spikes up, which makes us hungrier most of the time, again, even after we finish our meal. These hormones start working against us. It makes it much harder to stick to any diet. As a consequence of that, most people will end up snacking and consuming more calories than they would otherwise, and that will lead to fat gain or slowing down your fat loss journey. The third hormone that goes up is the cortisol. The cortisol is a stress hormone, and when we have high cortisol, we generally might have much higher appetite, which again makes it very hard to stick to that. On top of that, this hormone can actually encourage this fat storage, especially around the midsection and especially with men. Next, let's look into the cognitive and emotional impact of sleep deprivation, which are huge. They are also some of the main factors that cause people to gain fat or really struggle on their fat loss journey. After a bad night's sleep, we're more prone to being anxious and being anxious about small things that we wouldn't be otherwise. And our whole emotional state becomes that very unstable. Anything happens and you become irritated or highly emotional, and especially if you're somebody who is in general hypersensitive, an emotional person, this can really mess you up. The problem is that we're emotional decision makers as human beings. We're not as rational as you might think. And when we experience positive or negative emotions, they usually will affect and they will influence our decisions. And when it comes to making a decision, are you going to work out right now? Are you going to stand up and walk and burn some calories and do your steps, or pick up the right foods? There's a much higher chance you make the wrong decision when you're emotionally unstable. In fact, you will make the wrong decision sooner or later. It's impossible to stay 100% rational and make always the right decisions when you're emotionally unstable. And that's why I have this cognitive and emotional effect on the list, because it's such a huge thing and a lot of my clients struggle because of that when they're sleep deprived. And finally, let's look into the effects on our physical performance and our metabolism. So in general, when we're not rested, we're not that well recovered from our previous training sessions and will perform much less. You can hear that from any athlete on this planet. You have to sleep, and we consider sleep to be one of the most important factors for recovery, muscle building, and maintaining a healthy metabolism and healthy life. One of the problems that will happen if you can't recover is that you might end up losing your muscle mass. And when that happens, your metabolic rate over time will drop. And that means you'll be burning less calories even when you're rested and when you're at home. If you want to lose fat in the long run, you want to maintain a highly functioning metabolic rate. But when you're tired, when you're exhausted, you're probably even gonna be walking less. And that also accounts to your metabolic rate. The metabolic rate is really how much calories you're burning throughout the 24-hour cycle. So if you're tired and you're not fidgeting that much, if you're not walking as much, if you're not putting as much effort into your workouts, and you're not able to do your work as well, you're probably going to burn anywhere from 500 to 1000, maybe even 1500 calories less in a 24-hour cycle, just because you're not as active as you would is when you're fully rested. So sleep deprivation is a massive, massive thing. And we now covered the actually four main reasons why sleep deprivation will make you gain fat. So it's not a direct cause. It's not like you sleep deprived today and you just put on the fat, but it will change the way your body works, your reactions, your emotions, your thinking, and that will lead to just not sticking to your diet, burning less calories, making the whole journey miserable. And that's why people actually gain fat when they're sleep deprived and they struggle to lose fat. So how can we optimize our sleep to ensure that we're not sleep deprived and we have the highest chance of burning fat? So first of all, have an activity tracker, something that will track your sleep. It could be a watch, it could be a ring. Today there are a lot of options out there that will help you track your sleep, and when you track it, you're going to manage it. As my favorite saying, what's measured gets managed. If you don't measure your sleep, you're only going to guess that what the techniques that you're applying, are they working, are they not working? So start tracking it and see what it takes to actually increase your score. And here are a few things that will massively impact your sleep score right from the start and will help you really have a good life in general, and also lose a lot of fat in your fat loss journey. Number one will be the evening routine. The evening routine is probably the most important one, because it affects how you spend the whole night and how deep you sleep and how rested you will feel in the morning. It's just so important. The main thing is that you promote the parasympathetic system to take over the sympathetic system. The parasympathetic system is the one that is resting and digesting, and the sympathetic is the enemy of the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is fight or flight. And if you're in a fight or flight mode, you're not gonna fall asleep ever. You want the parasympathetic to take over, and they can't be like fully functioning together. Usually one dominates over the other. You want the parasympathetic to dominate. Understanding that, it will make it much easier to understand these techniques that a lot of gurus like promote, that not always work for you. Sometimes they say go and journal and do some things to calm yourself down, but if that doesn't calm you down, then it does nothing. In fact, it can do the opposite. So you need to know what works for you. But the main things that will work for everybody is definitely light. You should avoid bright light to go through your eyes before you go to bed. Half an hour, 1 hour before you go to bed, that's a big thing. You also should avoid intense exercise before you go to bed. That's going to increase your heart rate and will make it hard to calm down. These are the major things. Another thing that can affect your sleep is how much you've eaten before you go to bed. So make sure your belly is kind of finished digesting. You don't want to go in bed with a full stomach with a lot of food after you finished your meal. It's going to massively affect the way you fall asleep and the way you sleep. And also at the same time, if you feel hungry, you're starving, have something small to eat. A little tip from me, chocolate drinks will actually calm you down and will help you fall asleep. Something small like a cup of hot chocolate, homemade, is going to change the game for you if you're starving. Next, we're going to optimize the environment when you sleep. This is the most obvious one. Make sure you feel comfortable in bed. You have a comfortable bed and you have a comfortable pillow if you're using one, and it's not too hot. One of the main mechanisms the body has to wake you up in the morning is to increase your body temperature, the internal body temperature. And if you're sweating in bed and you feel too hot, that's too hot. It has to be colder. The best way to achieve that is have a colder room, about 18 to 20 degrees Celsius, and then cover your body with something that will keep it just comfortable. And whenever you want to cool down your body, you can uncover your feet or your hands, and the palms of your hands and the bottom of your feet will help you cool down, and it will reduce the internal body temperature and will help you stay asleep or fall asleep. And of course, the room has to be dark, it has to be quiet, and all this common sense stuff. You want to be a sleep environment. Next, we have a couple of lifestyle adjustments. The first one is the caffeine, which can come also from energy drinks, caffeine gums. Today we can get caffeine from a lot of stuff, so make sure you watch what you eat and don't take any caffeine after 4 p.m. That's a very big one. And then we also have alcohol. Alcohol is really bad. The more science goes into it, the more it proves it's really, really bad. And if you actually take the activity tracker, the sleep tracker that I recommend, you will see that even after a small glass of any alcohol, the sleep quality that you have is going to massively drop. When we sleep, we go through 4 different stages of sleep, and we have these very important deep sleep stages and REM sleep, which are important for recovery, for memorization, and for a bunch of other very, very important functions of the body. And if you drink alcohol, you fragment them, and you have less of them and they become more fragmented. You can't go through the full cycles of sleep, even from 1 glass of alcohol. It could be wine or beer or whatever. So make sure you don't drink much alcohol or stop it completely. That's the best thing you can do. And finally, a good morning routine will solidify your circadian rhythm. It will make it very easy for you to fall asleep on the night after, and it's going to also provide a much more stable mood throughout the day. So when you wake up strong. That's the biggest rule. When you wake up, try not to press the snooze too many times. Maybe once, or preferably not at all. Just when you hear the alarm, or if you can wake up without an alarm, that's even better. Just wake up right away, sharp, and get up and get going. The best thing you can do also is go out on the balcony, in the garden, under the sky, to allow some sunlight to go through your eyes, because we have a retina at the bottom of our eye, which will trigger very strong cortisol release that is super good for us. In the morning, it's going to wake you up. And with that cortisol, you don't want to overdose with coffee right after this happens, because then the coffee is going to also increase the cortisol higher, and you will get used to this subnormal level of cortisol, and you're not going to be able to provide it to yourself throughout the day. So the coffee is going to stop working. When you wake up, you're going to be groggy all the time. So avoid coffee in the first hour after you wake up. Allow this level of cortisol to naturally drop down back to baseline, and then have your coffee. You will see the coffee is going to work and your mornings will become much better. And that's it, guys. I hope this episode was helpful. If you liked it, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel or any other platform that you're listening on. And comment below if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos that you want me to create. Now here I will put another video to how to measure your fat loss journey. It's actually a very important one, and a lot of you don't track your fat loss in the way you should, and that's why you get a lot of conflicting ideas on what you should be doing, what's going on. You really need to do it in the right way if you want to successfully achieve your fat loss goals in the long term. So make sure to watch this video if you're not aware of this topic. Thanks for being my guest, and I'll see you in the next episode.